don't know if people realize, but you know, at night, many of these trucks sit idling, and the amount of pollution that they throw up, just even in the idling state, over that 5, 6, 7 hour period is incredible. And you magnify that across the country, and you can see what we are talking about, a global situation, despite some of the health issues that we've talked about localized.
Absolutely. Diesel pollution is definitely a nationwide problem and also a global problem. You're right about sort of the trucks idling at night. Often these truckers who are taking long overnight, multi-day trips have their truck engines on at night for heat or cooling, or to watch in-cab entertainment, and those things. Idling is actually one of the worst states for a diesel truck engine to operate. It's a very inefficient state for it to operate. And so there's a lot of pollution created in that. Luckily in California and a few other states, there are laws limiting idling to under 5 minutes. And so it's a matter of educating truckers, which we've been doing. We actually had a region-wide anti-idling day, which is really to go out, put door hangers on trucks and buses and let people know that there are new laws out there limiting idling to 5 minutes. And truckers often need to be reminded of this because they think they need to keep their engine warm because old engines often wouldn't start up again. But the newer engines, it's not a problem. It hasn't been a problem for many, many years. And so if they're going to run in to get a bite to eat, they should turn off their engines.
Yeah, and I'm sure most would be more than happy to do their thing. I mean, so what is the opinion of the Institute? I know you guys do this great research and all, and I'd like to know what is the opinion. I mean, obviously you guys come up with this benchmark work. So what do you think?
Well, the good news is there are a lot of solutions for the problems that California residents and the residents throughout the country are facing. And one of the things, just to sort of reiterate this point, that we really are just talking about fairness and companies that are benefiting from the system of goods movement paying the full costs, which includes the health costs to residents of the United States. And so what we really need to do is figure out a way to help these companies internalize the costs, the health costs that they're causing. One sort of solution that's out there right now is for every container that comes in through the port, and right now it's just being considered for the Port of LA Long Beach, which is the largest port, for every container that comes into the port, charging $30, $10 of which would go to infrastructure improvements, $10 of which would go to security, which is a big issue.
Huge issue.
It's a big issue as globalization brings with it a lot of concerns, and a security charge would sort of take the necessary precautionary measures to make sure that our ports and borders are protected. And the last $10 would go to community mitigation, sort of the things that communities around ports need in order to protect their health, to protect their safety, to deal with those things that people are facing every day. Big rigs traveling down their streets, trucks idling outside their windows, rail idling outside their windows. So to get things to improve community health and safety in places that are affected. So it's a great way to get the goods movement industry to start allocating its costs and benefits fairly.
How do you guys, when you come up with this? Now, obviously, a lot of people in the industry would probably not, react favorably to it. How do you get, an initiative out there like this, and to get it spearheaded, and to get some movement in the right direction? What are the steps? Maybe you guys aren't associated with that once it gets past the research and suggestion-wise. So what happens next?
So we were really lucky in that there's quite a proactive legislator in the South Coast area. His district is in the Port of LA Long Beach area, who brought forward legislation for this container fee bill. And it's right now, as we speak, being considered in the California legislature. And what we've been able to do is sort of bring together community residents from throughout the Bay Area. One of the initiatives that Pacific Institute, along with other organizations, has spearheaded is this Bay Area Ditching Dirty Diesel Collaborative. So to bring community organizations from West Oakland, near the Marine Port of Oakland, San Leandro, near the airport in Oakland, from Richmond, which has a lot of rail yards, from Bayview Hunters Point, which is home to the Port of San Francisco, to bring all of these communities that are facing similar issues together so they can share strategies and fight together to sort of address concerns in their community. And we all went to Sacramento, August 22nd, just last week, to advocate with our lawmakers that these kinds of things needed to be passed, to really tell personal stories about what it's like to live under the shadow of cranes, to live behind a rail yard, to live underneath an airport, sort of all of the concerns and health impacts that these people are facing, and say, we really need you to step up to protect the health of residents that are being impacted right now. And it made a huge difference. This bill, which was considered dead, which is being held sort of by the speaker in the Appropriations Committee, we were able to get revived, and now it's
That's a real shot.
So now it's up for vote in the Assembly, and we should hear soon. But it's a first step. A lot more needs to be done, but this is a first step in having companies pay the full costs of doing business.
You've touched on a few things here, and how we've neglected high growth areas. The airline industry. I hear too that the same thing is going on. And you mentioned the flight paths, high cancer rates near the airports. We've got an increase in air traffic, and I think they're talking about, the FAA is talking about, a 30 to 60% increase in flights over the next 6 to 10 years. Yeah, there needs to be attention spent towards this. We've gone way too long without looking at the health cost and the environmental cost. I didn't even ask you about the environmental side of things. Along those train tracks and all, the environment must be taking a hit there. I bet there's not a whole lot of wildlife living next to the rail tracks.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the things, sort of your first comment about how it's changing the landscape, the decisions that we're making about how to plan our communities are changing the landscape. It's changing sort of the habitats that can survive around there. Environmental issues like habitat protection, wildlife protection, those are big issues that are being impacted by the growth of goods movement. Air pollution, not only are there very significant, as I've gone into great detail on health impacts from air pollution, but air pollution also produces smog, which has its own health impacts, but it's also an environmental impact. You can't see the Golden Gate Bridge on some days, and you can't see the skyline on some days. So, there are those impacts. Air pollution also affects structures, buildings, and then there are also sort of the wear and tear impacts on roads and infrastructure, having these huge trucks and having them increase as rapidly as they are going to be.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. You're right on the crux of this what's going to be a major story. I guarantee it, because this is a high growth area, and we've neglected to see the cost to our lives and all, and it's time that we do. So I think you guys are hitting on it right now. If people want to find information out, what's the best contact for the type of work that you guys do? And I guess you have a website that showcases a lot of your studies.
Absolutely. We have a website. It's www.pacinst.org.
Excellent. Hey, I want to thank you for coming in today. It's been a pleasure and just a wealth of information. We'll get you back on the show, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Locke Roberts. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you join us next week. You take care.